I'm your host, Jeff Goodman. He is Robbie Hummel. And we got plenty to talk about today. We got a great guest, first of all, and it is the head coach of the #1 Gonzaga Bulldogs, and it is Mark Few. So we will get to him in a little bit, Rob. But first, before we get to him, we got to talk about the big game that was Sunday, and it was Michigan at Ohio State. And I know you are a Big Ten guy. This was a statement. This was a statement for, I think, a Michigan team that, frankly, I felt really good about. And you could see their talent. You could see they could score it. You could see they can defend. But I wanted to see it against a really good team, especially on the road. And they did that against Ohio State. They made plays. Every guy on their team made plays. That was the thing that impressed me, Rob, is it wasn't one guy. It was everybody.
No, I'm with you. I thought it was a statement, honestly, for both teams. I thought even though Ohio State loses and even though they ended the game, the behind-the-back pass, like there was some miscues for sure. But, man, they gave Michigan all they wanted. And they hung right there with them. And I just thought it was such a high-level game on both ends. Michigan is so talented. And I got hammered because I picked them. I said they could finish at the start of the year anywhere from like 6th to 12th. But I said that, and I'll defend myself because Mike Smith, total unknown. No idea how he's going to fit in. No idea how he's going to –
Nobody.
He can't. He shot so much at Columbia because he had to. Now he's taking open shots. He's making plays for other people. He's guarding. He's good. Sean D. Brown today, high level role player. Make shots, junkyard dog defensively. I just look at those two guys. Hunter Dickinson, highly ranked kid, knew he was talented, didn't think he'd be this. I was really surprised that Michigan played him on E.J. Liddell because I really thought you would see Livers guard him because I thought it would just, it's a better matchup. But Dickinson, for the most part, did a pretty good job. He lost him a couple of times, and Michigan played a good amount of 2-3 zone too. But, man, you're right. Every position made plays, made shots, and Michigan was on fire in the first half. They made 10 threes, and they cooled off in the second. But, I love Isaiah Livers. I love Franz Wagner. I think Hunter Dickinson is a great player. I love Michigan's length. Yeah, I just think when you look at the way they can guard you, and they can win in a track meet, they can win with their defense. They can win a lot of different ways. So I was really impressed with Michigan, obviously. But Ohio State, man, they're right there. They've other than playing Purdue, they've really had the answer for almost everybody in the Big Ten, not named Michigan. So Dwayne Washington was phenomenal, and I thought it was really funny. We were texting about what Holtman said about the "I love yous" before the game, and then tough conversations. Probably not too many tough conversations today. He was rolling, but both teams are really good.
He was fearless. He made big shots. Liddell was good. I just think, honestly, Michigan's a more talented team.
Yeah.
They are. They don't have to play their A game to beat Ohio State. I feel like Michigan clearly established itself as the third best team in the country today. But my big question is, how do they match up against both Baylor and Gonzaga? Not that bad. You said, Hunter Dickinson defensively, you worry about a little bit, closing out on E.J. Liddell. That's tough for him. He's 7 feet and that's not his game. But what Michigan did was early in the second half, they said, you know what? We're going to take advantage of on the other end. You can try to get him on the defensive end, but we're going to keep going to him. And they did. And I was just really impressed with, again, not only does he seal and he gets angles, it's to me, the guys that are throwing the low post entry passes are throwing them like Mike Smith, whoever it is. It was different guys, and they're getting him the ball exactly where he needs it, keeping it up high, no wasted motion, and it's easy for him.
I noticed that too about Dickinson today, of keeping the ball high so those guards can't come get it. It was the play where he missed a layup and then missed a putback, and the ball didn't come below his heart. He kept it was at his neck or higher the whole time.
Third putback.
Most bigs are bringing that thing down, and some little 5'10" guards coming in there and taking it from you and embarrassing you. And he just, you're right. The way they feed the post, there's not many teams in college basketball that are proficient at all 4 positions to throw it into their big.
Right.
It's a rare skill in today's game. And they got on the ball on time, on target, right where he wants it. And, he's really talented. He's a really talented player.
All right. So can he, I think I know the answer to this from your perspective, but when you look at him compared to guarding Drew Timme, because that's what you're thinking right now is, can Michigan beat, they may not get to him, right? Gonzaga or Baylor, but I think they put themselves in a pretty good spot now. Unless they have a complete meltdown, they're probably going to get one of the number one overall seeds, so they can avoid those guys until hopefully the Final Four. If they get that far, how does Hunter Dickinson, because everybody else matches up pretty well. I mean, Livers on Corey Kispert. Listen,
I think Juwan Howard would feel good about that. And that's no disrespect to Corey Kispert. I just think he thinks that highly of Isaiah Livers as a defender. Yeah, Timme probably scares you because he can drive you and he's nimble and quick. I think I'll start with Baylor. And you didn't ask me about Baylor, but I think that those are the two best teams. Baylor, the matchup, I think is again, pretty good for Hunter Dickinson. He's going to see Flo Thamba. He's going to see Jonathan Chalmachachua. The concern there is Baylor's big guards and their physical guards.
Yeah,
that would be the concern. Definitely. Jared Butler, you're worried about that. And then with the Gonzaga, you're worried about Timme in the front court. But I don't think I would look at it where it's like, if E.J. Liddell's not going to absolutely expose him, and Drew Timme's a great player, don't get me wrong.
Well, he can't shoot it like that.
He can't shoot the ball like E.J. Liddell can to spread him. So I think you worry about him driving it, but you also have to understand there's a 7-footer coming after you from behind to contest that too. Like it's not, he's got good size and length. And I really think that Michigan firmly belongs in the conversation with Baylor and Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think they've proven that now. Again, I think I was very hesitant early, as were you, because they hadn't beaten a lot of really good teams. It's really impressed me coming off the pause, and they were smart. They didn't rush back from the pause. They took their time and said, we're going to play one kind of, we're ready. We're going to take a couple extra days to make sure that we're going to protect our investment, what we've already built up, our equity. And that has certainly worked out. So listen, I'm with you. I think Michigan's clearly the number 3 team. And, we'll see what happens now with Baylor coming back off their pause. They could absolutely slip up here down the stretch. And maybe Michigan, if they run the table and win the Big Ten tournament, which is a lot to ask. Let's face it. That is a lot to ask out of Michigan. They got Michigan State twice. Not that Michigan State's great, but they're playing better. So listen, that was probably the best game of the season, Rob.
Totally.
So well played.
Shot making, effort,
great coaches,
rivalry, coaching, everything combined by far. There has not been a better game played than what we saw.
Really good game. So we'll let's get to our guest here soon. And Gonzaga coach Mark Few, I know you got some things that you want to hit him on about. And I'm sure he's got some things that he wants to probably come at me for. So we'll get to Mark Few here. Let me tell you guys a little bit of our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now is the time. BetRivers Sportsbook is offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart? They require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. When you win at BetRivers Sportsbook, they pay fast. And now it's even faster with Rush Pay instant approval for withdrawals. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. With March Madness right around the corner, there's never been a better time to give BetRivers Sportsbook a try. Go to betrivers.com today or download the app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, listen now, pleased to welcome you to the latest episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. And we have our first head coach who's actually requested to be on the podcast. I think to really, be able to talk about some of the allegations that were brought against him. And Gonzaga head coach Mark Few of the number 1 Gonzaga Bulldogs has come on to refute some of my allegations. So, I know I threw some stuff out there. I know it was hurtful, but I'm going to give you a chance.
I wouldn't go that far. Let's not take it too. I was very as much as swatting a fly on an arm is hurtful. Maybe, I don't know, along those lines. Yeah.
Coach,
No,
I feel
hey, to be honest, but okay. It was the first podcast I ever listened to. I'm not a big podcast guy. And I forgot one of my sons or SID or somebody was telling me about it, that you guys were talking Zag. So they actually put it on my phone. I listened to it when I was driving out to the lake one day. And I heard Mr. Hummel here, and I was like, no offense, Robbie, but I'm like, that guy sounds like a Zag, man. He just sounds like he gets it.
That's an honor.
He gets it.
No offense. What do you mean? I'm honored.
I was very, very impressed with your take on. You guys were talking on a variety of subjects, but then Goodman just started kind of going off channel on some, on some other things, and so I'm like,
he usually ruins the good things here. So
I was fine with him doing that, but I was like, I got to straighten out this guy that sounds pretty cool and sounds like he's pretty squared away. So
my take on that was, here's what I was telling Rob. Honestly, what I was telling Rob was, and you've been fighting with me on this for 10 years to have better work-family balance. And I said, I think you have the best work-family balance of probably most coaches out there. I don't know if everyone, but of most of them. You do a good job of it. But I'd heard a story years ago that you went really hard after Luke Ridnour, really hard. Yeah. Kid from the state. You thought you had him. You invested a ton of time into him, didn't get him. And it changed your perspective a little bit. Maybe I didn't say it that way on the podcast, but that it may have changed kind of how you went about recruiting a little bit.
The first part's very true. Loved Luke Ridnour, still do. Was a great player and an even better person, and ended up being a phenomenal pro in my estimation. And also in that same class was ironically a kid from my hometown, which when I grew up was 2,000 people. It's now probably 3,000 or 4,000 people. Just outside of Eugene, named Luke Jackson.
Sure.
And so all kinds of ties, being from a small town there, and they ended up. Oregon did a great job. They got those two together. They had a lot in common. They both had strong faiths, and they were small town kids, and they ended up hitting it off on their. It was the final visit Luke took. Luke Ridnour wasn't even going to take the visit, and he decided to take it. And then his luck would have it, but. I don't remember it going down like that. I just remember, as you get farther along in this recruiting and you get more comfortable, I think, with who you are and what your program's about, I just found the silliness and trivialness and waste of time of going to watch a kid 10 times. And, that's why I kind of wanted to ask Robbie about it. Like, those kind of guys don't come to Gonzaga. They just don't. They're the ones that require that kind of attention, and it's not wrong. It's just, I'm just saying, it's not what we really do here. We just tell them straight up. We offer them, and we tell them we want them and where they fit, and then we ask them. Okay, how many? If you need 100 texts a day or 100 calls in the week, this probably isn't the spot for you. You need me to be at every one of your games, this probably isn't the spot for you. But we can. We're going to coach you hard and develop you, and we're also going to be. You're going to have a blast playing here and in this program, and you're going to have a chance to compete for a national championship and go on and play in the NBA. So, the guys that end up appreciating that approach usually end up coming here, and the other guys we usually don't really waste a whole lot of time with.
Coach, I'm glad you're here to dispel this, because Jeff's been making it sound like you sit on your couch and like 5-star players just roll through and you guys get it. So I'm glad you're here to set the record straight with Goodman.
Well, and I got to be. I was also thinking I don't think Hummel strikes me as a guy that wants a 50-year-old coach to text him, 15 times a day.
Now, I was on the Kelvin Sampson. I was on the Kelvin Sampson phone call deal. So, I didn't go to Indiana. So apparently not. Not.
Yeah. No. Hey, man, listen, that stuff works. I guess you kind of just stumble into what works for you and what works for your program. And this. This place and our approach isn't about massive amounts of tension, and we end up saying a lot of times we kind of under promise and over deliver, once you get your experience. So, but in some places that really, really works. And I think,
when did that flip, Mark? When did that change? Because as a young head coach, were you like that right away, or did it take a little while?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, we all jumped in, when I was an assistant, and you would, and you have to admit, I think you grew up with a kind of a young batch of assistants out there on the Northeast. It was just 100% about like, hey, man, I'm at the office at 6 and I leave at 11, and you get a badge of courage for time served. And I'm just like, I'm more about just being efficient. Like, I mean, if you have to watch 10 films on them, like, I mean, that's probably an issue with you. I can watch 2 and pretty much understand what's going on. So, and the same with recruiting, and I know you're always about not going to Peach Jam, but I mean, most of our players at that time were coming from the Northwest and even internationally. And so, there just wasn't a lot of, oops, we still there? There wasn't a lot of, there was no reason for us to go watch, the Raging Cajuns from Southeast Louisiana,
Southwest Louisiana.
EYBL team or something like that, or the Florida Panthers or any of these teams. It just wasn't. So,
you just didn't want to leave the lake. Just say it. You didn't want to leave the lake.
And hey, listen, guys, I had at the time had a very young family and still have a family, and they're my number one priority. Being a great dad to them has always been my number one priority. The guys I've always scheduled practices around the assistants, kids' games and things like that if we can. Any way to help with that, I think. I think our profession is rife with, probably marriages that could have lasted and stayed together if guys weren't on the road 180 days a year and doing the things we're talking about doing, quite frankly, going to watch a kid 15 times. And so I've always been kind of cognizant of that.
Coach, you coached Adam Morrison, and certainly one of the elite players of college basketball, but also one of the, I guess, more eclectic personalities. Is there a story that you have, or does anything stand out when you think about your time with Adam?
Hey, Robbie, there's 100 of them. I mean, and if you know Adam, we all have stories on Adam.
I've gone out with Adam. I've gone out with Adam a few times over the last few years, and yes,
they can range anywhere from G-rated family time, right, Sunday at 7 p.m. to cable TV at midnight. So I just say this. I don't think his whole story's totally been depicted, honestly, in that I want to say he, maybe was second team all rookie his first year and averaged double figures. And then for the first time in his career, I believe in the exhibition season, it's the first serious injury he's ever had. He never had a sprained ankle with us, broken bone, anything, never missed practice. He ended up blowing his ACL out. And then, as luck would have it, they went from Bernie Bickerstaff, who, I think really understood Adam's gifts and what he could bring, to Larry Brown, who wasn't really that interested in letting Adam show his offensive skills. And Adam wasn't the world's greatest defender that ever walked the earth. And so, that started kind of the demise a little bit, but then he got traded to the Lakers, and, there was a pretty good player in front of him at the Lakers that liked to play a lot, named Kobe Bryant. And so as luck would have it, he just kind of, and Robbie, you can tell you have more experience than any of us with that. That's a tough league to make, man, if you're not getting those minutes and able to show yourself. So,
I think situation matters so much too, like you said. Like you can get drafted and you can be better than somebody else, but if you don't have an opportunity to play, it's tough.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that, because everybody's so good in the NBA. Like everybody is good there.
Unbelievable. unbelievable. Just how well they all shoot it. Knowing how they can all make the right read on the ball screens. They can all, guard their yard, or most of them can. And yeah, but I mean, at his heyday, guys, now when he was here, when him and JJ were going back and forth, I mean, it was
awesome.
It was something. I mean, it was packed houses everywhere we went, checking in with aliases in the hotels, just to kind of, I mean, it was a circus at the hotels and around our bus and stuff like that. And he would deliver. I mean, he had, I want to say, multiple 30-point halves that year for us. And I'll tell you one great story, and it involves a good friend of mine and an acquaintance of Jeff's, Coach Calipari. When he was at
it's a good word for
it. Good. It was a really huge game. Gonzaga coming to Memphis, and big articles, big to do leading up to it. And the forum was sold out, obviously, and just crazy atmosphere there. And Adam was just kind of started the game, going through, the motions. There wasn't much going on. And then there was a jump ball and a scrum on the floor. Everybody was kind of rolling around, and all of a sudden, oh gosh, I wish I could remember that. He was 6'8", kind of forward, played in the NBA a little bit. It got up and got in Adam's face after the little skirmish.
Carney? Was it Rodney Carney or something?
No, bigger than that. Oh man, Williams or something maybe. Was
John
it
Williams. John Williams.
Again, I don't want to.
I think it was Sean Williams.
It might have been. Okay, and Calipari, bang, or John immediately hits a timeout and comes over and just lights the dude up, is in his face the entire timeout. And go back into play, and I think Adam scored on the next 10 or 12 possessions, 10 straight times he scored. And that was Adam Morrison. And afterwards, talking to Calipari, I was like, what was that all about? He's like, I told our guys, do not do anything to get this guy going. Sometimes if you don't do anything, you'll just kind of just let the sleeping dog lie. But if you do. And so from that point on, I had a great assistant coach named Leon Rice, who's now the head coach at Boise State. And he would just literally make up stuff before games, found the other team's scouting report. This is what they said about you, Adam. I was listening to the coach's radio show. This is what they said about you. And I mean, it was just must watch deep. I mean, every time him and JJ played that year, it was unbelievable. JJ would play 2 hours before us and hit 40, and then Adam would get 41, 2 hours later, or vice versa.
It's funny you say that about making stuff up, because when Kevin Garnett got traded back to us on the Timberwolves my second year, he did that stuff too. Like, he'd make up gambling debts about players where there'd be guys at the free throw line and he's screaming at guys about money they owe him. And these guys everybody was afraid of KG. They'd be looking at him terrified. And he's yelling like, well, pay me my money. Like all sorts of other words intertwined in that. And these guys are like, man, I've never even met you. And they'd run back on the other end of the floor. And he's like, that dude's not even thinking about blocking out. He's thinking about me. I was like, that is genius. So I'm glad to hear that you guys were doing the same thing to Adam Morrison.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, he had a year for the ages that year. I think leading the whole nation in scoring and amazing run. And now, you know what? He's settled in. He's doing radio for us. He's really grown up. He's got 2 daughters. He's coaching them at AAU. It's kind of been fun to see that transformation.
I love Adam. I absolutely love him. One of my favorite people. I think he's
great interview.
What's that?
A great interview.
Yes. Because there's no BS with him. Zero. Nope. He will say exactly what is on his mind with no filter and no ego. No ego about it. Like, that's you would never know he had that type of career in college. He just walks into a bar and he's just like any other regular dude.
Was he a highly recruited?
Go ahead, Robin.
Was he a highly recruited guy, or like how heavily
he was one of our first. You know, we've only had a couple players from Spokane good enough to play here. We have one right now, Anton Watson. No, he was a ball boy of ours way back when he was a kid. And another, I don't want to bore you with all these stories, but that same assistant Leon was like, "Hey, you need to go watch this kid from Meade, man. Meade High School's here in Spokane." And I'm like, "All right." And they were playing at the arena, so I went down. And he's like, no, he's different. He's got a different kind of looking body and a different. And so I go down to watch him, and literally, I mean, he's just running around, just jacking shots, and he's kind of, he runs like this, and no D whatsoever. Kind of shoulders slouched over, and so Leon, calls me at halftime or whatever. I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, oh man, I said, I don't know, Leon. This guy, he was probably a sophomore going into maybe he was a junior. I can't remember. Like, I don't know. He doesn't move great. He's got kind of a funky shot. That plays no D. And Leon's like, well, how many points does he have? And I'm like, I mean, he made some shots. And then there was a stat sheet laying there, and I picked up the stat sheet, and he had 30. At half. And I said, you know what, Leon, I think I'm going to stay for the second half. and I can't tell you guys how many times he would do that. At the end of the game, he'd go like, Adam played all right. And then, he'd have 38, and you'd like, really? You had 38? And who's like that for us right now is Timmy. Timmy's like that.
Yeah.
He'll go
Every
like,
night.
I'll be all pissed off because he missed some bunnies and some shots, or didn't, rotate on a defensive assignment. Then we'll get in at a half, and he's, 8 for 11 or 8 for 10 and has 19 points at half. So some guys have that.
Support for today's episode of Goodman and Hummel is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you with the best tool for your grooming experience. With more than 2 million users worldwide, Manscaped has partnered with me to provide an exclusive offer to you, 20% off and free shipping with the code Hummel at manscaped.com. Before we get back to the show, let me tell you a little bit about their Perfect Package 3.0 kit. It starts with the Lawnmower 3.0, their third generation trimmer that features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming incidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. You don't want to worry about nicking the goods while you're trying to clean up down there. So feel confident shaving your balls with the Lawnmower 3.0. In addition to the new blade, the Lawnmower 3.0 comes with an LED light for a more precise trim, and it's waterproof, so you can take the grooming to the shower. Truth to be told, you don't want to be using the same trim on your balls as on your face. The Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with a crop preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, and the crop preserver, which keeps the goods from sticking to your leg. Plus, Manscaped threw in a couple free gifts, a pair of boxer briefs and a travel bag, so you can trim on the go. So get 20% off and free shipping right now with that code Hummel at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com with the code Hummel, Hummel. Your balls, they're going to thank you. So I was telling Rob before a couple of our Vegas stories, and I have tons. Every time I go, I feel like, and I'm sure you do too, when you go to Vegas, everybody's got Vegas stories. Two of my favorite are actually with you. And one of them, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the Mel Gibson story?
Yeah. So I remember something was going on over there, and it was our guy.
It started, it was you, it was, I think, Dan Munson, maybe Billy Greer, and Bill Walker. I think there might have been one more in there.
Vegas. Probably Ray Giacoletti.
It probably was Ray. So Billy Walker is getting his ass kicked at blackjack, And I'm standing behind just watching, waiting for somebody to get up. And Billy Walker gets up. I don't know how much he lost, but it was probably more than he could afford to lose at that point.
For sure.
Yeah. And I sit down.
And he's our book. He's our book. We go to him because Billy, what's the book say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book didn't work for Billy that night. The book did not work.
No, the book never works for us, so we just curse him out all the time, but he's our guy that says, no, got to hit it. Split him. Got to do it.
So I sit down and I proceed to win. And this was, I don't know, how many years ago do you think this was?
Probably 15 or something, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was early.
Yeah.
I was making no money, Robbie. I was making nothing. I think it probably was like 2007. I just got in. I'm making nothing. And I'm like, all right, I got to put down some real money here. Like they're betting probably $25 minimum table. I'm like, damn, I don't think I have 25 minimum. That was like a ton of money for me then. I ended up winning.
We were at a $10. We were at a $10.
You probably
on our
I'm typing the story up, making him sound like a high roller in Vegas again.
I end up winning like $1,000, and poor Billy Walker's sitting behind me, watching me take what should have been his money.
He took all the shitty cards, and you got all the good ones.
And we look over, and all of a sudden, I think he was at the roulette table, and we see Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah.
And he's, first of all, the thing I remember, Fewy, is he's got like this button shirt, and I'm telling you, he's got it buttoned down. By the way, I got the shirt on for you, by the way. But
there you go.
He's got it buttoned all the way down, chest hair just hanging out. And I swear, he's got like an 18-year-old girl on his arm. And we're just like in
possibly had been overserved earlier the evening too.
You think? I mean, Mel is getting after it, and we can't even focus on the blackjack game. Like, I got no idea. I probably gave all my money back, but it was worth it. We're just looking over at Mel Gibson and having fun watching Mel just going off for about a half hour straight. Right?
True. Yeah. True story.
Then the other one came when you got after me. Remember the young Maryland guy, the video guy? Do you remember standing behind us at the Palms? It was a young video guy named Matthew Lasevsky, and he was defending Gary Williams to me. We were going at it about Gary Williams, and you're a big Gary guy. And Gary wasn't winning at that point at a high enough level or something.
I'm still a big Gary guy.
I know you are. You were defending him too, but you were egging this dude on. You were completely egging him on to go after me. And this guy was so annoying and would go after me. It was like he wouldn't stop, Rob. We're like at an hour, 2 hours. Finally, I turned to this dude and I said, listen, what's your name? Matt. I said, Matt, how much money is it going to take me to buy you off this damn table? Like, whatever it is, I don't care. Whatever it's going to take, I will buy you off this table because I can't deal with it. And Mark is just cracking up, egging him on the whole time to go after me. So two of the more memorable. I think people don't know that about you, Fewy. Like, I don't think people have a good idea of who you are behind closed doors and the personality that you have and the fact that you do like to have fun and joke around, play blackjack, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't remember that, but I could definitely see myself egging somebody on as long as he was torturing you. I would gain much joy from that to watch you being uncomfortable.
I was uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable.
So Coach, I did some digging. I did Jeff's job. It was easy as hell.
Nice.
I found that you are the best open ocean wave surfer, which I'm not sure what that means. They said the best lake surfer and the best fly fisherman in the history of college basketball. Do you feel like those are accurate descriptions of you?
I don't know. Those are pretty heady things. Remember, there's a lot of coaches over the years, or not a lot. There's some that fly fish. I don't know as many reps as I do, but it's certainly definitely a passion of mine. I'm a very below average ocean surfer, I would say, but I love it, and I try hard and go for it. But I don't know. I don't even know any other head coaches that do. So, but I am, and I got my second son here with me I'm a big wake surfer at the lake.
That's when you're like getting towed
wake
behind the boat with like they fill the ballast up and it creates the
Yeah,
wake.
but then you basically throw the rope,
Right.
have a rope, and then you just ski on the wave behind it. It's super fun, super cool. So we've all gotten really good at that. I actually take the team out. And the team all tries to do that, and it's amazing how many. Jalen Suggs. It's the one thing, he's so competitive. He tried and tried and tried.
Couldn't do it
to get up, and it's just so close over and over again. And he was just so ticked when he didn't quite. He just needed one more day out there, and he would have got it. You know, watching Killian Tilly figure it out was really cool. Some of our big dudes have figured it out, and yeah, it's fun.
The guy in Boise said you're not very good at pickleball though.
Now, he knows better than to say that. I thought you guys were going to go there. I just got done playing with my family. I had to cut it short, make this big interview. So, yeah, but that. I think Hummel would be great at that.
So my dad is a sponsored pickleball player. My dad played tennis at the University of Illinois, and he plays 5 days a week. He's got a head sponsorship deal. He tells me that he says he's the real athlete in the family now because he's got more endorsement deals than I do, which is true, unfortunately.
You played? It's a great sport.
It is fun. I've played with him a few times. I love playing. It's great. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Is he good?
He is really good. And I mean, he's got the tennis strokes from playing, and it's a different game than tennis. But he played today. He was playing at noon today. He plays every day. Yeah. My mom thinks he's insane, but he's literally lost like 40 pounds doing it. He looks great. He's in great shape from playing.
It's a great way to kind of do some quick twitch stuff, without just killing yourself. And it's so much fun. It's hand-eye. It's really competitive, and you get a good group of guys, and it's amazing how good you can pick up really quick. My kids have, and everybody in my family has. And then, so we got a good little group that plays. I put we taped out a pickleball court in our practice facility. So
really,
we just, yeah.
That's awesome. It's funny you say that, because my dad took our backyard basketball court, and it's no longer for basketball. It is now a pickleball. So,
I gotta get with this guy.
You guys can play some tourneys together.
Tell him to bring his net to Indy here, right? We could use a fix.
He would do that.
You're not going to be allowed to see anybody in Indy, Mark. Just so you know, other than your tier one.
We'll have a pickleball court set up somewhere. Trust me.
Yeah, but you got to play with your team.
What's that?
You're only going to be allowed to play your tier one. That's it.
Well, hey, our strength guys is more into it than I am. He's obsessed with it. Yeah. And then I just put that in our tier one.
And he's now part of the Gonzaga traveling party. Yeah, he'll gladly come along and go to your guys' games. Who got you in pickleball every day?
Who got number 34 tier one tonight?
You get 34, and I've been holding out on that last spot. I just added Rob's dad. Yeah.
There we go. He will make the drive down from Valpo for you. He'll bring the net.
Amen. All right. This is coming together.
So I'm going to hit you with something real now. What's the latest WCC tourney? You guys in? It's going to happen.
Hey, I think we've been. And I probably didn't do a great job explaining myself, but and forever on the tournament. I'm fine. I wanted to play. We need games, and I'm happy to help give everybody a shot. I've never been totally great with the idea of taking 10 men and 10 women's teams to Vegas in one venue at the same time, and staying in casinos and riding elevators and all that. So that's been my take on it forever. I don't like that. I don't believe that you get it from playing. We haven't experienced that at all. I don't know that anybody has. So I'm happy to play anybody, anywhere, but I just, off the floor casinos, hanging out, all the people gathered in one, we can't have fans. Been very impressed with every venue we've been at this year as far as getting in and getting out in games. I just thought it'd be easier to do them in homes, home games where everybody's handled it. And I feel the same even for the Big Ten and some of these places. I don't know, unless you're having a significant amount of fans, I don't know why you'd have a tournament. You're not going to make any money.
Coach,
So it sounds like there'll be a tournament and it's going to be in Vegas.
Gonzaga gets one vote, right? So, I think everybody else kind of wants it as business as usual. So hopefully we can make it. I mean, we're searching out the safest place maybe to stay and be isolated and all that. I mean, the kicker for me, guys, was this test in 7 days before we can even go to Indy. If we don't test clean 7 days before, so that tells me what we've learned over this year with our team is then we got to be pretty much isolated the 7 days prior to the testing of the 7 days, just after exposures and all that. So that falls well below our conference tournament. So we're going to have to kind of hunker down even around here before we head down to our conference tournament.
Coach, what do you think is your team's kryptonite? Like, if you take COVID out and you're talking about just on the floor, what worries you most about your group from a basketball standpoint?
Robbie, I've always kind of bristled at the fact that we don't get good competition and stuff around here. And there's been some really, really good high level teams. Last year, the WCC, we had 3 single-digit seats. We all would have been, I think, 3 or 4 or something, and St. Mary's maybe an 8, and we were going to be a 1. And we just, we haven't been tested very much since going way back. I mean, and so that concerns me a little bit. We've been having some great battles within practice and trying to make those super hype, especially on the Mondays every week. That is something that concerns me. And heck, man, I watched that game today, man, Ohio State and Michigan. I was like, wow, those teams look really good to me. But, I think we're really good too. So the biggest thing I'm bristling at, and I guess it just comes with where we are, is it's, NCAA title or bust, and there's a lot to be said for the journey. There's a lot to be said for just day by day in the locker room and getting better and all that, and being in our 22-0. And we know we're going to be judged at the end of the day on all that. But I guess just haven't bought into, have to win it all. I don't know who usually goes through that. Maybe Tom Brady and LeBron and their teams.
Michael Jordan. Not many. Seems
I don't know that we're worthy of that based on, what we've done. We've made one national championship game and we're, a couple plays away from winning, but I don't know if we're quite worthy of, those expectations, but whatever. So
what worries you the most?
And then the last day, Robbie, was maybe, we're different this year. Our defensive numbers are really, really trended up. I think we're 3rd as we checked today. But, our rim protection is not great. And our 17 team was unbelievable rim protection. Karnowski and Jonathan Williams, Zach Collins.
Yeah.
Killian Tilly was our 4th big. And we're not as old as, we changed out a lot of people. It's amazing that we were picked number 1 this year, quite frankly, because we changed out a lot.
Good amount.
And we're playing with a freshman point guard who's great, but he's every week there's a different experience for him. So he's taking all that in but I got a fun group, man. I got a fun group. They're easy to coach. They're fun to coach. They play a great style. They just play off each other. And, we'll see.
Bracket Fanatics is your one-stop site for the NCAA tournament in 2021. Bracket Fanatics is the only social betting app that can manage your bracket and bracket pool. Here's how it works. Bracket commissioners determine the rules, entry fee, and payouts for the bracket pool. Bracket Fanatics ensures funds are collected from each player and distribute pool payouts to winners once the tournament ends. After you register, set up your bracket group, pick your teams, and invite your friends, while the real-time leaderboard tracks wins and points earned for your entire bracket group. It's a true social networking app. So basically, you can talk trash, Robbie. So you and I, We're going to be talking plenty of trash through this bracket group. Bracket Fanatics, the only tournament app with the ability to let players bet on the outcome of each game in the tournament. Unlike others in the space, there's no banner ads, none of that stuff. They're not going to sell your email address or bombard you with unwanted ads. You can still join Bracket Fanatics once the tournament has started. It's free to use. And again, you can collect, disperse money on your own and let Bracket Fanatics calculate wins and point totals, or let Bracket Fanatics take care of collecting all entry fees and dispersing payouts electronically. So you don't have to. It'll distribute all the funds to the winning players based on the points earned and the payouts set by the commissioner. So make sure you assemble your crew. Sign up now at bracketfanatics.com. Don't forget to use the code MADNESS to be entered into their $1,000 giveaway awarded at the end of the tournament to the player in the bracket with the most wins throughout the dance. Only those using the code will be entered. Once again, pull up your favorite browser and visit bracketfanatics.com and use that code MADNESS. Biggest thing that worries you about the NCAA tournament, Mark? Is there something with just kind of, are you concerned that it's not in a bubble and that, they say that if there's one positive test, they're not halting this thing. Life goes on with the tournament.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I'm really lobbying for. I don't like the 90-day rule. Quite frankly, I think the latest research shows 180 days, and I think if you talk to a lot of coaches, they're very concerned with that because, I don't want to see one player on any team be held out unless they're really, really sick. I don't, asymptomatic, a test and all that. We found tests that weren't very accurate. And I just, that's my biggest fear. I think these guys have put up with so much crap this whole year with all the protocols, with no fans, with no environments, with no atmospheres, time for months living kind of by themselves on campus and everything. I'm happy as heck that we're going to have fans there. And I think that's going to be a really, really big deal. And I really applaud Dan Gavitt for doing that. I think that's going to be really cool. But I'm scared and I'm scared for every team. I don't want one kid to miss it because anybody who makes it deserves to have it be the best basketball experience of their life, and we need to do everything we can make sure we get full participation and not limit anybody.
Right.
So,
Coach, your name has come up for jobs forever, it feels like. Has there ever been one that you've actually thought about leaving for? I know you're firmly entrenched in Spokane, but has there ever been one that's maybe piqued your interest or you've thought about it?
I mean, we're just so this is what fits the Few family so well here. Like we talked about, kind of Northwest lifestyle, the fly fishing, the lake, getting out to the lake is almost a spiritual experience for part of our summer. I mean, we live out there and just kind of commute back and forth. So, and then just, I tell you, one of the coolest things, I'm sure Coach Izzo and even the Purdue guys can tell you, when you stay at a place as long as I have, as long as those guys, as long as Coach K has, and Boeheim and Izzo, and I mean, the relationships you develop, I mean, those guys come back and they are your guys, you start bouncing around, you don't have your guys anymore, and that family feel and to watch my guys, like we talk with Mo, up, become dads, all that is some of the best part of coaching in my estimation. And it's what's worked for me. I always thought we could build this thing into a national program and maybe just stubbornly and reluctantly and I just maybe a little bit reticent to change or something, I guess. But, there were some great opportunities over the years that we looked at a little bit, but I don't know that we ever, I had a really, really good friend who was the acting AD at Oregon. I mean, a really, really good friend. I think Jeff knows him, named Pat Kilkenny. Great guy. One of the greatest human beings I've ever come to know in my life. Super smart, super fun. And I mean, that was the hardest one by far, because of him. He was my friend, and look, I grew up 10 minutes away from Oregon. My family was still down there, but Spokane was my home, and Pat knew. But I mean, Pat did a great job, man. He had Phil Knight on the phone with me, everybody, and so
That's tough to
that
turn
one,
down, Mark.
Full court press right there.
We actually met, guys. I don't know if I've ever shared this with anybody, but I did this because I care about Pat, and I told him we lost to North Carolina in Memphis, I think, in a Sweet 16. That Carolina team that was great. I think they ended up winning it that year. We met in a rest stop with hat and sunglasses on, halfway between Oregon and Spokane. It's a rest area right on the Columbia River. And he drove like 3.5 hours. I drove 3.5 hours. We had our little shindig right there and hashed it out. Yeah.
And were you like close or no? I mean, like,
hey, gentlemen, my phone went dead. Sorry.
We figured. Hey, that's no surprise whatsoever coming from you. None.
That is bad. That's bad. I'm so bad with technology.
Good. No, listen. This is a big step for you. You were able to, probably with your son's help, reconnect, figure it out.
Yep. So anyway, that was a hard one just because Pat. But the other one that made me think for a while, because I just loved Coach Olson so much at Arizona, was when that thing came around, and just had so much respect for him and that program. That was an interesting one too.
I was upset, Mark. I was upset on that one.
I don't think you were.
I was. Listen, I might raise some money, when Sean, if Sean's not at Arizona anymore, I might try to take out of my bank account and see what I can do to get you to Tucson.
Yeah, not going to happen. So, he's done a great job this year, man. I mean, to have a team that's not playing for anything, he's done a great job. Man, I had a great win yesterday.
They did.
I mean, great job. He had changed his whole team out and everything. Amazing.
He's gone your route. He's gone the international route.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of, I don't know, we're quite that international. I guess we got Joel right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Normally you got a few, and you got my boy from Lithuania. Come on.
Arlo.
Yeah. That's my guy.
Yeah. There you go.
Coach, why do you think the Blue Bloods are struggling this year?
I think it's, well, first of all, I think every story's unique at each place, right? But I would just say, to be able to do what Coach Cal and Coach K have done every year, changing out their teams and having all freshmen. I mean, it has to be a pretty special class, and I mean like the class of 20, to have that many great players that can carry you that far, and I think back to, we played that Duke team with Zion and the gang, and that was, to me, the last one that was maybe capable of doing something like that. I mean, there was so much depth to it and so much, I mean, there was some high level talent. I don't know if there's that level of talent coming out right now to be able to pull that off, to go exclusively that way. And I don't know. I would probably say that. And then I think the evolution of transfers allows, other programs like ours and things, you can get older and still stay relevant even after you change out some of your other guys. And I just think it's good to be old in college basketball.
Are you worried? Are you worried like next year with so much that's going to happen next year with college hoops, right? Name, image, likeness, the one-time transfer rule, probably kids getting their years back. I mean, it's going to be mayhem next year, isn't it?
It sure seems like it. I tell you what's weird about it, guys, is like everything, you just get immersed in the season and you just almost like, oh my God, I don't want to have to go mow that lawn. I just won't deal with it today, So you just go out to the lake or something and hope it goes away, but it's not going away. It's funny. We spent a lot of time on a great committee with, Jay Wright, Izzo, Coach K, and just a bunch of Coach Williams, just some great guys and great thinkers. And we've been planning and trying to help kind of wade through all this stuff. It's complicated. I mean, and the transfer thing alone is complicated. But I'm hoping we can make some tweaks to that to, there has to be a notification date. This idea that it's a free for all is nuts.
What do you want to see? June 1st or June? What do you want?
I would say, probably May 1st. I mean, and a lot of these guys are going to be done playing in a week or so, probably half schools, right?
Yeah, that's
so
good.
I don't know what takes you that long. And I think if we have that, then hopefully that'll be somewhat, kind of a good compromise on both sides. The name, image, likeness, I don't know if anybody knows where that's going. And I think it's just going to be something where we'll just all have to figure it out. And college basketball and college athletics is such a strong entity in its own. It'll figure it out. It's going to be weird for a while, but we'll figure it out. So,
yeah, it'll survive. It'll just, like you said, I mean, people are going to have to adapt and kind of figure it out, all this stuff as they move along. All right, last question. You and I talked a couple weeks ago because you had an open date at that point. I forget what happened.
Yeah.
And you wanted to
we
play.
tried.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you really tried to play some people. I won't go into who it was, and I know you don't want to go into who it was, but you could have easily said, hey, listen, we're going to play the Sisters of the Poor instead, and we're going to try to take our undefeated season here. Why didn't you?
Kind of what we talked about earlier. I mean, I think I have a group that and I talked to them about it. I mean, they want challenges, and they're, I don't know that I'd be opposed to playing one. I don't think we play till Monday of the league tournament. We're done on a Saturday. So, I'm crazy enough, as you know, at the black table to maybe take somebody on Tuesday or Wednesday that week. So, just to challenge them. And to me, it's about just getting us ready for the tournament. And back to Robbie's point on, what are we going to face? Well, I mean, we could face great size, face great, off the charts athleticism, or, I would just look for something along those lines, of something like that to really shock our system a little bit, But yeah, we tried. We really tried. We were close on a couple things, but scheduling's hard, man. It's and whatever, every coach knows and does or tries to do what's best for his own team. So I don't think you can't really judge anybody there. And for my team at that point, we were kind of jonesing for something like that. So, but it's different with everybody else.
We appreciate you taking some time. I'm glad you came on. Again, anytime you need to set me straight, you know where to find me.